Have you ever wondered why a goat eats, breathes, and gives birth, and why a stone just stay lifeless? In this video, we are diving into the most tested areas in biology. We are diving into the foundation of biology, which is the introduction to biology, and the subtopic will be on living and non-living things. So by the end of this video, you have a better understanding on what's living and not living. You also have a clear understanding on the characteristics of living things, and you have better knowledge to tackle questions on the introduction of biology and the living and non-living things. So without much being said, let's dive into the video. But before that, look at this number right here. If you are interested in my tutorial, just chat this number right here on WhatsApp to join the tutorial. Or if you are interested in mentorship or interested in getting syllabus for JAMB, WAEC or NECO, just chat this number right here on WhatsApp to get it for free. So let's dive into the video. To continue, we need to know the definition of biology. What is biology? Biology is this branch of science, that deals with the study of living things. So biology is a branch of science that deals with the study of living things. So biology is formed from two Greek words, bio and logos. That is what come together to form the word biology. And bio means life, while logos means study. Bios means life, while logos means study. So generally, biology is the study of life. Also remember that biology also makes us understand the function, structure, and interaction between living organisms and their environment. So let's dive into living things and non-living things. So living things are things that has life in it. For example, we have plants and animal. Why non-living things are things that do not have life in it. So they are lifeless objects. For example, we have stone, sand, rock, etc. So this is living things and non-living things. I hope we are clear with that now. So let's move to the characteristic of living thing. That is very essential. Characteristics of living things. So I'm going to give you guys acronym. I'm going to give you acronym to master the characteristic of living things. We have 7 characteristics of living thing. And I'll write out the acronym to master it. So the acronym for the characteristic of living thing is Mrs. Green. So we are going to start from M. So this M represents movement. And what's movement? movement is the ability to change position or move about. So movement is the ability to change position or move about. For example, if I go from here to this place, that's what we call movement. So I hope we are clear with that. And why do living organisms move? Living organisms move because they respond to stimulus. Living organisms move when the weather atmosphere is not conducive for them. So they have to move to another place that is conducive. And another reason why living organisms move is in search of food or when they are running from danger. And another reason why they move is to seek for mate for reproduction. That is another reason why living organisms move. So let's move to the next one, which is R. This R stands for respiration. It stands for respiration. So now to respiration. What's respiration? Respiration is the process in which the food substance that we take in is being broken down in form of glucose in order to serve as energy for life processes in living organisms. And when I say life process, I mean growth. The way we grow, respiration is involved. So respiration is the process in which food is broken down, in the cell of living organism for energy, broken down for energy to perform all life processes. So now, since we have treated movement and respiration, we'll be moving to the next one, which is S. This S there means sensitivity. And another name for sensitivity is irritability. But JAMB normally tests sensitivity. JAMB don't normally use irritability in their context of exam. They do use sensitivity. So sensitivity is like a new term for irritability, and irritability is like the old term. So make sure you note that as we dive into it now. So the next one is sensitivity. It is also known as irritability. So sensitivity is the old term. Sensitivity is the new term. Terminology. Why irritability is the old term. So let's talk about the definition of sensitivity, which is also known as irritability. So note that once question is asked on sensitivity, note that they are also referring to irritability. So sensitivity is the ability of living organisms. I hope we also know that living things are also living organisms. Living things are also the same as living organisms, so don't mix them up. They are also the same thing. So sensitivity is the ability of living organisms to respond to changes both in internal and external stimulus. For example, we have light, heat, pain, surge, etc. For example, if an organism is touched, it feels it. So what's next? G. G is the next one. So what's G? What does G stand for? G stands for growth. 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 So we've talked about MRSG, movement, respiration, sensitivity, and now we are talking on growth. So growth is the permanent increase. In the body of living organism. In the body of living organism. And increases the mass of the body. And increases the mass of living organism. It increases the mass of living organism. So growth is the permanent increase in the body of living organism, and it increases mass of living organism. So how do growth occur in the body? It occurs by good feeding. Once there is good feeding in the body, there will also be increase in the living organism. So we've talked about MRSG. So we'll be moving to R. We have to, the first one stands for respiration, while the second stands for reproduction. So let's move to reproduction now. That's the fifth one, reproduction. So what's reproduction? If you know the definition of reproduction, just drop it in the comment section. I'll be right there waiting for your answer. So reproduction is the ability of living organisms to give rise to new offspring. Reproduction is the ability of living organisms to give rise to new offspring that have same characteristic as their parents. As their parents. So, for example, have you heard about a goat giving birth to a sheep? Or have you heard about a cat giving birth to a dog? No, that's not possible. So, that's why they said it is the ability of living organisms to give rise to new offspring that have same characteristics. So, a goat will always give birth to a goat. So, that's what I'm driving at here, the same characteristics. So, let's move to the next one, which is E. So E stands for what? Think about it. E stands for excretion. Excretion. So excretion is the removal of metabolic waste in the body. Not only metabolic waste, but poisonous metabolic waste in the body. So excretion is the removal of poisonous waste, metabolic waste in the body. So what does metabolic mean? From the word metabolism. Metabolism is the sum total of the chemical process that takes place in the cell of living organism. So now we're talking about the last one, but before we move there, don't forget that reproduction has types. We will not be diving much into that. It has two types, the sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves two parents who give birth to a new offspring, while asexual, the one starting with A, asexual reproduction involves only one organism to give rise to a new offspring. So the next one is N, and N is called what? Nutrition. It's called nutrition. And nutrition, it also have types. So let's dive into that. So guys, the N is nutrition. And what's nutrition? Nutrition is the ability of living organisms to feed, which will also enable them to carry out life processes, which include growth, respiration, and other vital concepts. So nutrition is the ability of living organisms to feed them, to enable and carry out life processes which include growth, respiration, and other concepts. So that's nutrition. And we have two types of nutrition. We have the autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. So let me just brief the types of nutrition. For autotrophic nutrition, the organisms that are autotrophic, they don't depend on other organisms. They manufacture their own food by themselves in the presence of what? In the presence of sunlight. But for heterotrophic nutrition, they depend on other organisms. So some animals, a lot of animals are heterotrophic, which depend on plants. All green plants are autotrophic. They manufacture their own food by themselves in the presence of sunlight. So now that we are done with the acronym Mrs. Green, so make sure you note that it will be very easier for you to master it. It is very good and very essential for students preparing for WAEC, NECO, JAMB, or for any O-level exam. It is very important to know this acronym. And we also have other 3 concepts, but they are not the characteristics of living things. I just want to mention it. We have death, adaptation, and competition. So let's start from adaptation. Adaptation is how organisms adapt to their surroundings. How living organisms adapt to their surroundings. Maybe they are migrating from one place to another. They will have to adapt to that surrounding. And for competition is the process in which living organisms struggle to survive. They compete for things like food, light, water, and place. So that's competition. And for death, all living organisms, they are going to die. That's the end of the cycle for living organisms. Death is the end of the cycle for living organisms. So that 3 is called DAC. D-A-C. Death, adaptation, competition. But they are not the characteristic of living, but they are also important. They are vital concepts you need to know. So if you now know the difference between living things and non-living things, drop it in the comment section. So now we have talked about introduction of biology, where we talked about bios and logos. Bios means life, while logos means study. We talked about the living things and non-living things, examples under living things and non-living things. And we also talked about the characteristics of living things using the acronym Mrs. Green. So now, without much being said, let's move to practice questions. So guys, let's treat practice question on introduction of biology and living or non-living things now. So the first question says, the ability of a living organism to respond to changes in its environment is called A, respiration, B, irritability, C, sensitivity, D, movement. So think about it. What is the correct answer? The ability of a living organism to respond to changes is called sensitivity. is called sensitivity, and it's also, you can also pick irritability, but the most appropriate answer is sensitivity. Irritability refers to old terminology, while sensitivity refers to new terminology. So assuming we don't have sensitivity in the option, you can go for irritability. But if you have the two, if you have both in the option, pick sensitivity. It's the ability of organism to respond to stimuli, both external and internal. Question 2. Which of the following life processes is carried out by both plants and animals? A. Photosynthesis, B. Excretion, C. Germination, D. Flowering. So let's start from flowering. Flowering is carried out by plants. Germination is carried out by plants. Plants do germinate, but do animals germinate? No. Excretion is carried out by plants and animal. But for photosynthesis, it's carried out by plants. So you can see that excretion is the appropriate answer. That's how you eliminate questions. Make sure you learn how to eliminate questions in JAMB. It's very essential, especially in MCQ questions. Learn how to eliminate. And if you are watching and you haven't subscribed up to now, why haven't you subscribed? Hit that notification bell now and make sure you like this video and share it. So guys, let's continue with the practice question. Let's continue. Question 3. A non-living thing can be identified by the absence of A. Movement, B. Growth, C. Nutrition, D. All of the above. So let's start from option A, movement. Movement is a characteristic of living thing. Option B, growth. Growth is also a characteristic of living thing. Option C, nutrition. Nutrition is also a characteristic of living thing. So movement, growth, and nutrition are all characteristics of living thing, which makes option D, all of the above, the correct answer. It says a non-living thing can be identified by the absence of movement. Non-living things don't move, they don't grow, and they don't feed. So all of the above is the appropriate answer. Question 4. Question 4. Which of the following is not a characteristic of living organisms? A. Respiration, B. Locomotion, C. Excretion, D. Photosynthesis. So let's start from respiration. Respiration is a characteristic of living things, as we all know. I mentioned that earlier when talking about Mrs. Green. Locomotion is also a characteristic of living organism. This locomotion will be there to confuse you, but I want you to know that locomotion is another name for movement. It's another name for movement. So locomotion is also a characteristic of living organism. For excretion, yes. Excretion is also a characteristic of living organism. We've already discussed that earlier. For those that are following. And for photosynthesis, no. Photosynthesis is not a characteristic of living organism. So photosynthesis is the correct answer. So guys, let's move to the next one. So this is the last question we'll be treating for today. For today's class, I won't be answering it. It is you that is watching this video. You are the one to answer this question. Make sure you drop this answer. Make sure you drop it in the comment section. I'll be there waiting for your answer. It says, which of the following is not a characteristic of living things? A. They grow. B. They reproduce. C. They respond to stimuli. D. They do not move. So drop your answer in the comment section. We've come to the end of this video, and by now you should be able to differentiate between living things and non-living things, not just by appearance, but by the understanding of it. And in our next class, we'll be diving into classification of living organisms. We have 7 classifications of living organisms, and we'll be emphasizing on that. And we'll also be talking about the hierarchy and more. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe now so you don't miss out on this continuation. Make sure you subscribe now. Keep learning and keep practicing. And if you are interested in mentorship or tutorial, don't forget to share this number on WhatsApp and I will make sure I attend to you. See you in the next one.